Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw. Played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey and anything else that we can cram into 40 minutes. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We missed everyone on Wednesday, but we'll be back in full swing this week. Tom, I want to start out with a trivia question for you.
Nice. Let's go. I love trivia.
Because I think it's an interesting thought. Any idea who leads all American-born goalies in goals against average and save percentage? He's also 7th in shutouts, and he's played more than 400 NHL games.
Can I ask any questions? Is he currently playing?
The answer is no. He is not currently playing.
400 wins, U.S. goaltender. Well, I mean, John Van Biesbrouck?
No, but John obviously is up there in a variety of categories.
I got to go with Mike Richter then?
No.
Oh, wow. Who would it be?
Obviously.
We lost Kevin there. God, I'm trying to think who this is. Well, Kevin. So Kevin's question to me was, sorry, Kevin, you froze up there a little bit. What were you going to say there when you just froze up? So I guessed Van Biesbrouck.
I just said, obviously it's not Ryan Miller or Jonathan Quick, any of the bigger names, because I wouldn't have asked you.
Right.
If it was easy, obviously it's hard.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
Can you give me any hints?
He's always been underrated, and he's been undermined by injuries throughout his career.
Wow. Geez, I have no idea. I would not guess it.
Yeah, it's Ben Bishop.
Oh, wow. Wow,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, so, I think the number of games surprises people, and he got a late start on his career. If you remember, I think he was in St. Louis, and he was, in his mid-20s and hadn't played much. And then I think he got traded to Ottawa. And, he was probably 26, 27 before he really got going.
Was he in Tampa when Vasilevsky came in and was about
Yeah, he was. And then, and if you remember, Vasilevsky had to end up playing in the finals again.
That's right.
When he was really young. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, Bishop, I remember him getting hurt, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, he's been a good goalie, but I think it is surprising when you look at.
Oh yeah, I never would have got him.
No. That's he's right around 2.30, I think, and I think his save percentage is like 921.
Wow,
something like that. But he's had some good numbers, to be sure. So anyway,
so right now we've got Vasilevsky and Shesterkin is arguably 1-2. No argument. They're 1-2, right? Who's next?
Yeah.
Who's next in your mind as the best goaltender?
Well, it was interesting. The NHL Network did their top 10 list, and I looked at that list, and I thought that list was a little underwhelming.
Right.
And by that I meant, I'm just used to seeing, names on there that, goalies that all have auras. Goalies that you say their name and you go, oh yeah, he can play.
Yeah.
But we've lost a bunch of goalies in the last year.
Carey Price,
Carey Price, King Henrik, and in New York has retired as well.
Jonathan Quick is still playing, but it isn't the goalie he was before. Right?
Yeah, but there's been other guys too. I'm trying to think. We've lost. I think there's been 3 or 4 goal. Oh, Pekka Rinne has retired. So, and NHL Network had UC Saros, and I thought, UC Saros, I mean, he's a good goalie, but is he the third best goalie? But when you go through, there's really not, like Sorokin is up there, Thatcher Demko. I mean, they're good goaltenders, but they're not household names. They don't have that name recognition.
Right.
So,
and it's an inconsistency, right? I mean, they've proven that they can be good goaltenders, but it just doesn't happen as much as you'd like to see it happen, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, on that top 10 list, we also have Freddie Anderson down in Carolina.
Oh.
He's on that list now. I think he was like 8th or 9th. Marc-Andre Fleury was 10th.
Oh, really? Wow.
I thought that was a little low,
Yeah.
but because I would have taken him for a big playoff game over some of the other guys. But that maybe is just a comfort factor that we
Right.
all have with him playing big
Right.
games.
But you raised a good point, though, right? It's two different things, really, right? Is it for one game? Who do I want to net, or are we talking about a whole season? Like, who's the most consistent of those? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, and Fleury, of course, is not long for the NHL. I mean, he's he's on the back nine.
Yep.
He's getting ready to go into the clubhouse, and
Yep.
I mean, I think we're at an odd time with our goaltenders where we're in that transition.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting these goalies aren't good, because they are, but they just don't have the lengthy track record that we're accustomed to. We're used to, another goalie who's Tuukka Rask, was good for a long time.
Yep.
He's
right.
retired.
That's right too. That's interesting that you bring that up. Yeah, a lot of good goaltenders have moved on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and now they're and like this could be Thatcher Demko's. And who wasn't on that list, who I really like, but who's been undermined, is John Gibson in Anaheim.
Yep. That's right.
He was not, but again, I think he's been sabotaged a little bit by injuries as well. But bringing up Sorokin prompts an interesting question. How did the Island? You look at his numbers last year, Sorokin's 7 shutouts.
Yeah.
Real strong save percentage, strong goals against that. How did they not make the playoffs? When you got a goalie playing that well, you normally make the playoffs. So
it kind of tells you about that team, right? I mean, they had the terrible start. It was last year, terrible start last year, and they can't score goals, right? I mean,
that's the whole thing. And I guess the big question is, and I've had this argument in the last couple of weeks with some people about, can you do nothing to aid your goaltending and be a better offensive team? In other words, can Lane Lambert just say, we're going to open up, take the governor off the accelerator, and we're going to go?
See, normally with a young team, I would say, okay, you assume those younger players are going to get a year better, but that's an old team, right? If anything, they're on the decline a lot. Not all of them, but a lot of those players are. So I guess my answer is, I think we all think the world of Lou Lamoriello as a general manager, but he tried to do things but didn't get it done, which is rare. And listen, they're not done yet. I mean, the season hasn't started. So do they have cap space left?
No.
Oh.
None to speak of. But Barzal obviously is going. I mean, I think what they're banking on is that he's going to go from being a good player to an exceptional player, because he's going to have license to kill. Yeah. He's going to be able to go out there and wheel and deal. So
NHL list here, Susan. Top 16 teams. Rangers number 5 behind Colorado, Tampa, Carolina, and Florida. I would not have the Rangers behind Florida. That's interesting. What do you think?
Well, I mean, what were they last year? That was pretty close to that, 5, 6, 7 in that range.
They're in that range, yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be better this year. The younger players will be better.
Yep.
I don't think, not that he's not improving, because he is, but I don't know that Shesterkin can be better than he was. He was phenomenal. So.
That's a great point, though. Seriously, right? As great as he is, he can't really play much better. Yeah.
No. He was just so good last year.
Yeah.
So, I'm bullish on the Rangers. I mean, I would put them in the top 5. I mean, Carolina is really good as well. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay, but, their depth has continued to be eroded. I mean, now they've lost Andre Palat, who was a big game player for them. They lost Ruda on defense, who, was just a dependable guy. So it's.
And don't you think they're one of those teams that they've won already? They've been to the finals. They know what it takes. They know they don't have to play fantastic during the regular season. They just have to play well enough to get in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So I can see them maybe slip out of that top 5, which doesn't mean that they're not still a contender to win the cup. It's just that, the Islanders were like that when they were on their run and they won their 4 in a row. There's sometimes during the regular season, say, okay, they're ready to be beaten. Well, playoff time came around and that theory went out the window.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. And then, not only did they lose those players, but they lost Derek Lalonde, who was a good assistant coach. He's in Detroit. We're dealing with him now. It is interesting, though, and I say this as just an observation, not a criticism, because everyone does this in our own way. But man, he has got a theme about play without the puck. I mean, they've been in training camp 4 days, and we've heard about that. When you ask a question about a player and where he can improve, it's always his play away from the puck.
Oh, wow.
So that is Derek Lalonde's thing thus far.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and they were last in dangerous scoring chances against last year, and we've talked about that. The Red Wings were, almost a dozen per game dangerous scoring chance. I'm not talking about shots on goal. I'm talking about getting in that home plate area in front of the net. 12 times a game, the Red Wings gave up shots from there. And Rangers, of course, were also bad in that as well.
Yeah.
Only playoff team. Only playoff team that was bad at that. And
any word on Larkin's contract?
No, it's odd. Well, he came out and said, and just pretty much what I've been writing, which is, I grew up in Michigan. I played at the University of Michigan. I'm captain of my hometown team. I like it here.
The agent must be just screaming when he says that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but here's what I've been telling folks on this. Now, tell me if I'm wrong on this.
Yeah.
But even though there's no movement, don't you think they're like $500,000 apart? Like, I mean, I'm sure Yzerman's trying to get him for 7.9. I mean, it's a total guess. 7.9, and he's asked for 9.2. So maybe they're over $1 million. But Yzerman's thinking, I'm going to try to get him at 8.5, and so like I don't know. I mean, Gary Bettman and Donald Fehr have both at separate occasions said to me that one of their frustrations is that sports writers don't understand negotiations. They want to cover it like a sporting event. They want to know who's winning, is it breaking down? And he said, if you're any good at negotiating, you have no idea how it's going to play out. Like, you think you know where it's going, but he said, you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yes.
He said, it's impossible to know.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to be patient. Good negotiators are patient. And, he said, that's the way it is. You just wait. And then he says, you think you're not getting anywhere. And then somebody calls and says, let's get this done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. All sides pretty much know where it's going to go within a range, right? You just squeeze your best out to get on the team side, the lower end of the range, and the player wants to get the higher end of the range. Yeah.
Yeah, I admired Larkin for A, being honest, and B, didn't seem to be panicked about it. So
I'll tell you what, from a negotiating standpoint, though, you don't want to hear that from the player side. The agent will not be happy that he's saying that stuff.
Yeah, I've been hearing that forever, but
he's better off just to say nothing, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I'm not denying you're absolutely right, but I'm just saying, at some point, like, they know that too. Like, he's not telling Steve Yzerman anything he doesn't know. Steve Yzerman is not wondering how Larkin feels about.
But what if Larkin said, like the agent says to Larkin, listen, Dylan, you need to be careful here. You're negotiating when you're talking to the media.
Yeah.
So why not just say, you know what, this is a business thing. I love playing here, but we'll see how it all ends up down the road.
Well, I mean, you're right, but I'm just saying, I don't think, even if he said all that, Yzerman's not sitting around and go, oh man, I'm really worried about that. I think he knows how Larkin feels.
Right.
And just because of it's a unique situation. You usually
Man, but if I'm Steve Yzerman, I'm sitting there saying, I'll get this guy. Guess I know if I'm patient here, he doesn't want to leave. I'll get him at 8 instead of 9.
No, I don't think he's thinking that. I think Steve's also thinking, I got this guy. He's pretty popular. I got to be careful here. Like, I've got a lot of a long honeymoon period here. But if I don't get this done, there's going to be a little bit of pressure on me. I mean, it cuts both ways. Like,
but he's got the leverage here. Like, if the kid wants to stay, then Steve Yzerman's got the leverage. He can just be holding out, saying, "I'll give you 8. I'll give you 8. I'll give you 8." If he knows the kid will sign at 8.5, and then he said right at the very end, then he can go to 8.5. But he can hold out as long as possible.
I'm not sure he knows that Larkin's going to sign at 8.5. He's got Pat Brisson as his agent. So I mean, the danger for Larkin is, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to nuance it. Like that. You're absolutely right. Like, it would be best if Larkin said nothing.
Right.
And in fact, any lawyer will always tell his clients to shut up.
Yeah. Totally.
Don't say anything, whether it's a criminal or a negotiation. You're better not to say anything. I'm not arguing that. You're completely 100% right. I'm just saying in this situation, I think everybody kind of knows what the deal is. But Larkin has to be careful. Yzerman has to be careful because, if Yzerman pushes this too long and it gets to the point, well, at some point, maybe Larkin will get mad. At some point, maybe you'll get so far away, Larkin and Brisson will say, we might as well see what's out there. Like, I like it here, but,
Yeah, you're right. And if he's smart, if Yzerman is smart, he's gone and talked to the player already. Right. But maybe not negotiate with him, but say, listen, we want you here on this team. We got to get this contract done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he's probably over a period of time, too. He has a relationship with one of the leaders on his team, which is Larkin. And he talks to him more frequently than he would most players. Right. So,
right. Yeah. I guess my final take on this would be, I still think it's going to get done.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. They're not going to let him go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just there's too much at stake here.
And the other player that hasn't signed yet was
Bertuzzi, which is a completely different animal. So I think that could go either way.
And he's a good player, right? He's that big physical player. Plays aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's been tension there on negotiations. And, I think the negotiating style for Yzerman is a bit unique as well because we live in a statistic-driven world.
Yeah.
Comparables. Yeah. That's what we want. How my numbers relate to someone else's numbers. Right. And Steve, I believe, based on my conversations with agents and from around, because Steve doesn't talk about negotiations, he wants to talk about how you fit into my team.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to know. How do you help me win? That's his discussion. And I've heard that hasn't gone well with Bertuzzi.
That could be a dicey one, right? Because now you're talking, the ego's getting involved too.
Right.
For the player side. Yeah, there's no question. Because somebody says, okay, you're the fourth best forward for us, but maybe he's playing on the top line. That maybe move the lines around a little bit to even him out. And he's going, how can I be your fourth best forward when I'm playing on the top line? Like that kind of discussion goes on.
Yeah. It's a sort of a deal. And I don't know. I just have sensed there's been tension, and people think it's about the vaccination. I don't think it is. I think it's just been building up from the previous negotiations.
Right. But the lack of that getting vaccinated really does speak a lot about the player. To be the only guy in the National Hockey League that did not get vaccinated, like that, you can look at that. Is that selfish, or is that a guy that's really strong? And strong-willed guy. Right?
Yeah. Although the Red Wing players supported him on this. And it didn't seem to be one of those for publicly I support him, but behind the scenes I'll tell you that I'm not happy about this.
Right.
It seemed like he's popular with his teammates. They like him. He's first in line when there's trouble. And
I wonder if they've got a sense of humor. Like there could be some good punchlines there. Not getting vaccinated, right?
Yeah. Well, over the last weekend too, Canada finally announced that they're going to let people on people in, so he can actually go back to Canada now. Starting, I don't know what day it is, but so he can go see his mom or everybody else, I guess, that he hasn't been able to enter the country. So and that's a big change because obviously in the baseball season, some teams had 5 or 6 players that weren't vaccinated. So.
That's right. We discussed, was it Wheeler up in Winnipeg taking the C off his jersey? We discussed
did, yeah. But, I was thinking this morning, there was a big fight last night, Devane and, I'm drawing a blank. He's got a PTO with Columbus. He's been around a while. Anyway, the only point I was going to make is, it's preseason when we're talking contracts, preseason fights, and injuries. Like whenever because everybody in the world is
James Neal.
No, it's not James Neal.
He's trying out with Columbus. Oh no,
no, but it's a tough guy.
Oh, Victor Rask? No.
Let
me see here. I get the whole list of all the guys. Those are the only 2 I think that Columbus had. Victor Rask and James Neal are the only 2 on this list of guys on PTOs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, now I got to know. So, but
so a big scrap. What happened?
Well, it was a big one, and it was scary. YouTube when it was done, when the video came out, they said it was inappropriate content. That's how.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
get hurt?
yeah. But apparently it was okay after later on, but it didn't look good.
So two things. Somebody brings up a good point here where you're looking that up. George brings up a point here about the advertising on the jerseys. I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I'm fine with it. I know everybody's up in arms about it, but you know what? I've watched enough European hockey. I've known this was coming for a lengthy period of time, and I'm just fine with it. I'm used to it.
I know.
I don't. It's a way to do ancillary revenue. Players and the owners split that revenue 50%. It was just a matter of time. And
how about we were doing a show? I can't remember what it was, Thursday or something. Is there a new rule about chirping on the ice there, or talking back and forth with the players?
Oh, I haven't heard that. I know in the NFL that new rule about no touching. Well, I shouldn't say the rule's been in place, but they haven't really gotten on it. No touching after 5 yards. I was watching a game where one DB got called like 5 times.
Oh, all right.
Well, he just can't. It's like in basketball, the hand check. Every defensive backs have their hand on the guy. That's how they sort of keep track of them. And,
so Ben Hopper, Barry Schilling?
Yeah, Harper. Yeah.
He's the one that got knocked out. Oh,
yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a KO.
And who beat him?
Devane. So.
Oh, wow.
It was just just one of those. That's the kind of fights you see in preseason.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Everybody's trying to prove themselves.
And which is kind of pointless at this time of the. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, hockey. Like when we played, fighting was a strategy, right? Intimidation, all that. It's not now. It's just
no. I mean, that's why I said in preseason, it's really the only time we talk about fighting.
Yeah, totally.
Because we ended up with some mismatches, guys trying to prove themselves.
Right.
And in the regular season, it's simply not a factor.
Yeah.
That's why when people, I shrug when people say, well, they ought to ban it. Well, it just doesn't. It's gone way down. And
and when they do fight now, I mean, for old guys like me, it's kind of funny and I'm not blaming the players of today, but when they fight now, they get shields on too, so they're punching each other's shield. Now, obviously, in this case, they punch more than the shield, but I mean, it's odd to watch a guy like before. If you fought, like when shields first started coming into the league, if you fought with a shield on, it was almost like, come on, you can't at least take your helmet off if you're gonna get into a fight. But
yeah, it just doesn't have the same impact. And it was interesting because I remember in the 80s writing stories where people said, eventually evolution will take care of it. Like the games become so important. Yeah.
Any fights, Rangers and Islanders? I think it's based on the lineup. Because what's his name? I can't remember. The tough guy for the Rangers. He won't want to fight during preseason. He's an older player now. Depends who the Islanders have too. I mean, same thing with Boomer Esiason. Geez, I'm terrible with names today. Oh, gross, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's gonna be fights tonight.
Yeah. I wanted to get your thoughts too. I think we touched on it. Or maybe it was when I was on a radio show, but the whole idea of what's going on, we're going to open the season over in Czechia, and the San Jose Sharks are going to play against the Nashville Predators. We touched on this, didn't we?
Yes, you did. But some of the players can't play, right? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of players. But what I didn't ask you, and somebody brought up that I should ask you about it. Like this idea that the Sharks players don't want to play unless their whole team could go there. Like, are players that political, or is it just
no? The players. I mean, listen, I can talk about the players. We were oblivious to what was going on in the world. We were playing hockey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we knew things, but it's not like we were going to take a political stand. Now the guys have changed. Now, I mean, I think it's good when players take a stand and do the right thing if they really believe in something that's particularly in their community. It isn't the way it should be. I think I enjoy it. I enjoy when they do that. Okay, so we had our golf tournament Monday. I did not golf. I drove around the golf cart and made fun of people. So we had this beautiful.
Whatever the event is, that's your strategy.
I don't know, Kevin. I don't even know if it's a strategy. It's just the way things work out.
Yeah.
So we had a beautiful golf course, Westchester Country Club. And the dinner was set up outside, which may have been a little bit of because it was forecast for rain. So we just sit down and start eating. Got a nice piece of salmon, and it poured. Just deluge came down.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Oh, it was funny. Poor guy, the DJ, was one guy band kind of thing. He had an electric guitar and the whole bit and all his electric equipment outside, and he was scrambling. So we helped him with stuff. And I felt bad because, I grabbed his iPad. And I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't think I'm going to steal the iPad. So, it was pretty funny. Yeah.
Wow. When's the last time you played golf? Because I know you have played golf.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I would say it's probably 20 years since I played golf. Yeah. I just have no pleasure. I just done any enjoyment playing that game. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, it requires patience. Are you impatient?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
No patience.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of patience and that. So
about 3 years ago, we had the golf tournament, and I was with this group, really nice group of people. I said, Tom, can you just do one putt for us at the end and last hole? So we had like about a 30-foot putt, and I got really, I was just being smart, joking around. It's like, okay, here's how you do it. I'm going to show you how you do it. You line it up here. You take it. You don't take too much time. You just hit the ball. It goes right in the hole, 30 feet. And I had no idea. Yeah.
And then you know what? How many times when you made a good shot, you say to yourself, "I should just quit right now." Well, you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was probably the last time I putted, I think. Oh, maybe I putted once the other day there too. It was funny though. Once I putted, then I got all like I was having fun. We were jumping up and down and everything. And I went running over to this one guy and I was going to chest bump him. And he saw me coming, and the fear in his eyes, he was like, "No." So it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Bob Duff, the former Windsor Star columnist, now works for Detroit Hockey Now. He was telling me about the best celebrity tournament he ever went to. And this is a really unique strategy for those who don't know much about those. Oftentimes when they have these charity events, they bring people in, and then there's one celebrity, which he's foursome. So, if you're going to a Ranger event, you get to play with Zibanejad, or you play with Adam Fox or whatever. So there's one guy in each foursome. And they thought, well, it would be better if you got to sample like all the celebrities. So they ended up putting two celebrities on each hole, one on the green and one on the tee. So the foursome would show up, and then you tee off with a celebrity. He would tee off in that hole. And then when you got to the green, once that ball got on the green, you would another celebrity would come in and he'd putt.
Yeah.
So
that is a better idea. Yeah, I've done that before. Where I drive, but that's what I did the other day. I drive around, and everybody gets to meet all the celebrities.
Yeah. So you end up in 18 holes. You meet 36 celebrities. So that's what I thought it was a good way to do it. So yeah, I actually was it was in Minnesota, and I was invited it was USA Hockey, and this is how it wasn't a good celebrity tournament, because I was one of the celebrities. So
you're in more Hall of Fames than anybody else.
Well, that actually is not true, but anyway, I was one of the celebrities, and I was just embarrassed that I even apologized to the foursome. I said, I know you were expecting a hockey player, and you get stuck with me. But I ended up having a great time. It was just so much fun. Although I had borrowed, actually it was the late Walter Bush, who was the head of USA Hockey. And it was just when the graphite drivers were coming out. So it was a while ago. And he just didn't like, my driver. And he said, "Oh man, you got to update." And he says, "I got a couple of them." He says, "I'm going to take my graphite driver." And on the very first hole I used that graphite driver, the head of the club came flying off. It went like 50 yards. So I don't know why that happened, if it was a defect or I was defective, one or the other. Right. But regardless of how it happened, I was just, again, embarrassed by seeing that happen. And, like 6 months later, I said, I tried to pay for he wouldn't take the money, but he said, I just sent it back to the company. They sent me a new one.
Okay.
So, I'll never forget that. I mean, the head of the driver just, it went like, 50 yards down the.
So it was going to fall off anyways. It wasn't you. It was just.
I guess, I don't really know. It was like one of those things where, you were just, again, so embarrassed by what happened. Because, on the first hole, everybody's standing around. Right. They're waiting to tee off. There's 100 people there, and I'm teeing off, and, I'm already a bad celebrity in my own mind. to begin with, and then I take this graphite.
Actually, the more I think about that, the more funny that is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, in hindsight, it was funny. It wasn't funny for me at the time.
Right.
Okay,
Right. Totally.
I would describe it again as embarrassing, being the opposite word. But
that's good,
it was great. So.
Oh, that is good. That's a good story. Hey, did I tell you I'm going back to Northern Michigan University November 7th? Go back there.
No, what's going on there?
They've hired me to speak in front of their student athletes.
Oh,
500 student athletes. And then there's another school, smaller school that I'm going to speak to as well. And then possibly, if they haven't lined it up yet, possibly the high school there as well. So, and my old coach, Rick Conley, is back as a athletic director there too.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. So
it just happened. Yep.
Hey, speaking of, where's Walt Kyle these days?
He's up there. He's working for Newport Sports in the agent business, and he lives in Marquette.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even realize that. Yeah. Is he a recruiter or is he negotiating?
A recruiter. Okay. Him and remember Eddie Ward?
Oh yeah, sure.
So he works for them as well. So I think they travel around a lot together.
Yep. Wow. Okay. Well, I wonder what happened to Walt.
Yeah.
So
I saw him the other day. I talked to him the other day. He's doing fine. He's remarried, had a child. So he went through cancer, and obviously then could not father children of his own. In his first marriage, they adopted 4 kids, I believe, and then with his second wife, they had a child. Obviously not his, like she went for in vitro or whatever. So
yeah, all right, great. Yeah. So he's a fun guy. Walt,
yes, very inspirational guy too. Like he was really one of the first people that got me into Vince Lombardi quotes and all that stuff. He's really he's a hardworking guy. He went through a lot. I think it sounds strange to say it this way, but Walt had gone through all the chemo and everything, right? So it was my first year pro, and maybe first or second year pro. And Walt, he would get on. He's a recruiter, assistant coach at Northern Michigan, and he'd be thrown up and everything. And he'd get on a plane, fly out to Western Canada. And I think it's a strange way. The people kind of look like, wow, this guy's incredible. And that is who Walt is. He's just this totally dedicated guy. He's not going to feel sorry for himself. And I think it really helped build his. Again, it's terrible to say it this way, but it really helped build his reputation, especially amongst a lot of pro scouts and everything. They were out there and see him out in the rink. So,
I just see here on my computer that I'm going to run out of power, and for some reason my outlet is not working. So you're going to have to carry the load for 2 minutes while I go switch power cords.
No problem. So Ira here, Tom, will I adopt you? No. Flat out, no. There's no chance. Maybe we can find a home for you, but I don't know about that. Ira, anything you need. So I try to think of some exciting news from the weekend. I told you guys about the golf tournament. Yeah, getting rained out. Again, we saw Barry Beck there. So a lot of guys there. Eddie Johnstone was back in town. Guys that I hadn't played with, alumni guys. Nick Kiprios, I know him, and who else was there? Madam Grace is there. So I think I told you guys a story, but when we're at events like that, and when Brian Mullen, myself, and Adam Graves are at the event, we've all got the bald heads, and always there's somebody assumes that I'm somebody else or Brian Mullen is somebody else. So a guy came up to me, wanted to get an autograph, and I knew he didn't. He was either I thought he thought I was Adam Graves. I said, "Who do you think I am?" And he kind of looked at me startled, like, "Well, of course." He says, "Well, you're Adam Graves." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm Tom Laidlaw. Adam Graves is over there." And Mullen and I get a real kick out of it. So does Adam Graves. Actually, we had gotten a picture taken, the three of us together, and we forgot. We haven't got a copy of it yet. So I do want to get that picture of the three of us. It's pretty funny. There's times where I go to an event and parents are looking over at me and they're saying something to their little son or daughter, and I know they're saying, "Well, that's Adam Graves. That's Adam Graves." And then Gravy will show up, and then they're looking at me like, "Oh God, that's just Laidlaw." So it's pretty funny. Book update. So I had a good meeting with the writer about 2 weeks ago. Both of us saying we need to get this thing wrapped up. Kevin's back. We were just
got my backup power source here, and when you bring in your backup, you don't get any warm ups. So we're jumping right in. So.
That's right too. You jump right in. That's right. You used to have warm ups.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the preseason a little bit, and the Red Wings they've got 8 preseason games, and they've got a new coach, Derek Lalonde, and he's talked about how important that'll be for Simon Edmondson, their first round draft pick from 2021, who supposedly has a good shot of making the team. And one of the reporters said, "Well, you play him 4 or 5, and those games." He said, "I'm probably going to play him more than 4 or 5." And he said these 8 games, which to me is too many, way too many.
Yeah,
but they're really liking them, especially the rookies. They're going to play them a lot and try to figure out who should make the team. But
do you really buy that Edmondson has to play well in preseason to make the team? Don't they already know how good a player he is?
I do. Yeah, I'm a big. I'm an anti preseason for almost all sports. Yeah. So I just think guys get hurt and.
Right. I mean, occasionally there's a surprise, right? But not much in the National Hockey League. Very often now in the National Hockey League, you already know the team going in. Again, some guy, even if a guy has a good preseason, I think if they've already really said, okay, this is our team, we know what it is. This kid's had a good preseason, but we're still going to send him down the minors or back to junior. We can always call him back up again.
Yeah. And let me just to draw a circle around this. Steve Yzerman is the GM of a rebuilding team. And he has 14 veteran forwards already on the roster. Right. Now, that's already too many.
Yeah.
So where is he going to add, the younger forwards? And he has 9 veteran defensemen. Now, 2 of them are hurt.
Right.
But where does he have room for anybody? Like I'm surprised at how many veteran players, and these are not PTOs. These are guys that are signed to, contracts. So
does that mean then that he can now? He's got some players to trade.
Well, yeah, but there's no, if you listen to the drum beat, nobody's got any room to move anyone.
Right.
Like it's almost like if this is probably a slight exaggeration, but not by much. But people say that there are 32 teams that have no room. Like it's and if you look at it. Like the Red Wings have the 5th most cap space available, and they're at $8 million. And everybody below them is, like 1 or 2 million. Like, you need 1 or 2 million just to get through the season.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah, no question.
So like nobody's got any money. Like,
who's got the most cap space? Then the Phoenix?
Yeah, the ones that aren't going to spend it.
Yeah, I know.
Because now they're capped out by their own budget. They're not really capped out.
But I guess then what they could do though is that thing where they'll take on a salary and get a draft pick or something else with it.
They've said they will do that as long as it's favorable terms, and I'm going to describe favorable terms as first round picks. Cool. Yeah. Like you talk to GMs, and that's what they're saying, and teams just aren't going to do it. They're not going to give a first round pick to get a player who's not a first round value.
But for example, like that Edmondson, he comes in, plays the way they think he's going to play, but there's no room for him. They've got to move somebody to get him in the lineup, right? Wouldn't they then? No,
they're just going to count on people getting hurt. That's pretty much what they all do.
Yeah, good point. You're right. Yeah, that has become a trend. I didn't think that was going to be a trend, but it has become a trend.
Well, yeah, and they've got, like I said, they've got 2 long-term defensemen out. Pysyk is out till mid-January, and Wallman is out to at least Thanksgiving. Right. So that 9 goes down to 7. And are you going to tell me that there won't be an injury between now and Christmas on the defense?
Yeah.
Of course there will be. Yeah. So it's tricky.
Definitely. And I forgot to say that I saw my boy Gerard Gallant at the golf tournament too.
Oh, did you tell him that you have a bromance with him?
I did not tell him that. It was raining right when I saw him. And we were running around and getting inside, so I didn't get a chance. I was going to say something to him too, but
I always mean to ask you this. I forgot. I know how much you appreciate his coaching style, but did you have any run-ins with him in your playing days?
Yeah. He was tough. Oh man, like he wasn't like a heavyweight fighter, but just like
he's small. Yeah.
So he wouldn't back down when he's putting on a little tonnage now, but he's
but he was a small player back then. So.
I don't think he eats too well. Wasn't there a story when he was in Vegas that he had bologna sandwiches after the game or something like that? Wasn't it
I don't know. I missed that. But coaches do not, like I've told the story before of a player once telling me if you want to eat a hamburger, you got to do it alone now. Well, I don't think coaches have that restriction. I think they, eat chicken wings and.
Right. I mean, not Rod Brindamore. He doesn't eat those things.
Oh, no, not Rod Brindamore. Yeah. Actually, there are a lot of coaches that, Mike Babcock's a runner. Brendamore's a runner. there were a lot of coaches that, do, work out and spend a lot of time. So,
yes. Do you ever talk to Kenny Holland anymore?
I haven't in a while. I would like to, I used to talk to him all the time when he was in Detroit when I was here, and I'd go to the games. And, Ken Holland there's a pregame meal there for the media and the staff of the Red Wings. And, Ken would always come down there and, have a salad. But you could sit with him, and chat. And so, you kind of caught up, and he caught up with me. We both did the Vulcan mind probe on each other to find out what we've heard and, that kind of stuff.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy to talk to.
Yeah. Well, Steve Yzerman does not do that. He does not come down to the, with the employees and, have the pregame salad. He's so we don't, nobody does the Vulcan mind probe on.
Who's got the best personality of all the GMs in the league? Who do you think?
Well, Ken's up there. Jim Nill is certainly the nicest, I would say.
Brian Burke he's president, but.
Yeah, Brian Burke is fun. He's entertaining.
Right.
Very, very entertaining. Jim Rutherford is very nice. He's
Rob,
not.
Yeah, Rob Blake's a good guy too. He's.
Oh yeah, no. Well, for the most part, they're all good.
Like even Lou Lamoriello, who's got that tough guy mentality, he's still a fun guy to talk to. Yeah.
Well, and he's very polite and he's fun. And I have a lot of history with him. So he came into the league about the same time I did, which he's reminded me of. He started as a GM, and that same year I started covering the.
Right. David Poyle's got to be right at the top of the list as far as like a real gentleman.
For sure. Gentleman is the right word for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bill Zito, I know pretty well from his agent days. I like Bill quite a bit. Smart guy. Shrewd is the word I would use for him. I guess he's a shrewd competitor.
Yeah.
I know Brisebois in Tampa Bay, but not as well as because when I left USA Today, he was just really getting established. Right. So I don't know him quite as well. But
how far as coaches, who's got the best personality as far as coaches go?
Yeah, there's a lot of good coaches. I really like Rod Brindamore. I like talking to him.
Yeah. The guy down in Tampa there, he's got quite the personality too.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Cooper. I mean, the fact that he and Charles Barkley are texting buddies, that's just fun. So but there's a lot of really good coaches. I like Bruce Cassidy too. He's another guy that I find that he's very honest. Like you can ask Bruce Cassidy anything. Right. Like there are a lot of guys that if you ask them a tough question that you're going to see steam rise out of their ears. But if you ask Bruce Cassidy, you can ask him anything, and if he doesn't want to answer it, he'll just not answer it. But he's not going to look at you, like you
sideways.
Ask him to betray his country.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Boudreaux's pretty funny too. I like that.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's great. It's like playing for your grandfather. It's I root for Bruce Boudreaux.
Yeah, you do. You have to. Yeah,
I just think he's a likable guy. Right. And you know what's different about him too? He's happy to be where he is. Like a lot of guys are not thankful. They've been great their whole time.
Right.
So they've got up. They get to the NHL and they almost feel entitled.
Yeah, sure.
Because they've been so good for so long, and people have told them they were good. Bruce Boudreaux fought his way. He was mostly a minor league player. He was mostly a minor league coach.
Yeah.
So he's still thankful.
Yeah.
And I like people like that. I like people who are thankful, and that they've got an opportunity to do what they've always wanted to do with their life.
Craig Berube's pretty good too. He's got a good sense of humor too. That tough guy.
Yeah, he's fun. I like Berube. He's he tells it like it is. Which is
Well, that Hackstall's a heck of a guy in the cab. I hear Hackstall up in Seattle.
Yeah, it's good. So. Yeah, I haven't seen Seattle yet, Ben. I'm looking forward to going in and telling him. I do a podcast with a guy that just trashes you on a regular basis. So I'm going to tell him.
You're looking at the negative side. I'm talking about what a great interview he is.
He did. He did have a great, but you say it facetiously. You say it as you're mocking that great interview.
Slightly.
So I think he should be the coach of the all Laidlaw
Yep.
Anti-Laidlaw team. So
Sure. We'll have McCrimmon as the general manager.
yeah, that's good.
Axel will be the coach. Yeah. And then,
yeah. So who's captain of that team? It has to be Eichel.
Eichel, yeah. And then what's his name in Nashville?
Duchesne can be the alternate captain.
Yeah. Yes, that's right too.
Yeah. So we got our seeds. We got the race.
We need to do that. We've got to do that team.
Yeah. So I don't know, are all teams doing it? But in Detroit, they're wearing the C and the A's are smaller on the jerseys. Really? Don't like that.
Yeah, I like
a big C. I like a big C and a big A.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you see what did I do for cooking yesterday? I can't remember now. Oh, I just made a turkey meat sauce.
Oh,
I used to put a little bit of sugar in mine. Now I used agave.
Yeah. What is it? A turkey sauce?
Turkey meat sauce. So instead of like regular meat sauce, it's got ground turkey in it.
Meat sauce. I'm not even sure what that is. A meat sauce.
So like spaghetti sauce.
Oh, spaghetti sauce. Oh, I got you. A spaghetti sauce with turkey. Ground turkey.
And what I did for my salt, I ground up in my blender some capers, a little bit of oil, and put capers in. So instead of using salt, try to be a little bit healthy, on the healthy side.
Well, we had healthy. I like to find things that both my wife and I will eat because she's a vegan. So I said to her yesterday morning, I said, why don't you make some minestrone soup, which I assumed was vegan. And it is, provided you don't use any chicken broth or anything.
Right.
But as it turned out, she decided to go with a vegetable soup. She'd rather have potatoes over pasta.
So she's like, even with the broth, she won't use a chicken broth. Like she's
never. Never.
Yeah. But did she just all of a sudden go that way, or she gradually became vegan?
She gradually went that way. She started out as she was a meat eater when we were first started, and she was carnivore. She's really gone from a T-Rex to a brontosaurus. That's the way I look at it. She's a leaf eater now.
And I used canned tomato sauce. Yes, I did.
Well, the point I was going to make about this soup is we had to buy vegetables because we were going to our lake house. We had vegetables at home, but of course not at our lake house because we're not there as much. So we don't keep fresh vegetables. We buy them as we need them. So we went to the local grocery store, and I learned something there. Actually, because my wife discovered it. She was talking to a guy about the vegetables, and since we were going to use them that day, she said, "Do you have any of the?" And she knew this that that you were going to move out of the vegetables because they usually will discount those. He goes, "No, we have what we call boxes here, which is just excess, and for $5, they will fill up your box full of vegetables and just give you the box." For $5. And so my wife was all over that. And she said, "Do you do that throughout your chain?" It was a Myers. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, this is the thing. And you can do it with fruit too."
So it's the stuff they're going to throw away? Is that
stuff
why
they're going to? Well, in this case, she had asked for stuff that was going to be, going to be expired in the next day or two because she knew she was going to use it that day. And he goes, "No, but we do have what we call the excess boxes." So and
$5. Wow.
Yeah, it was $5. Like she comes home, we got this nice big box of vegetables, and she got her immersion blender out, and after when she made the soup, and it made it sort of the kind of a porridgey type.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, it was good. But anyway, leave it to my wife to discover.
She's good. She's good. Yeah,
best bargain. So just talking to the produce manager. Yeah. So anyway, well, we've now moved off of. We just keep lengthening.
I know. We should just rambling on too.
By the time we retire, we're going to be doing 4.5 hour shows. So because we just keep moving along. So,
but all important stuff, though. All important stuff.
Yeah. With the head coming off my driver, that wasn't all that important. So
that's a great story. That is good.
Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday, and we're moving closer to see. The season, I keep saying, starts on the 13th to 14th, but actually starts on the 7th or 8th because those two games in Czechia are regular season games. So, we've done this before where we've played a couple of games and there'll be a 5-day period when nobody plays, and then we'll be really starting to hit home. So, but if you want to read me, I'm at DetroitHockeyNow.com and also HockeyBuzz.com.
And if you'd like to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. And Susan, you're correct. Let's go Giants. You're playing tonight against those Cowboys. Let's go get it done. Everybody have a great day.